Hey, I picked this up to add to my already large collection of quirky electronics and Moog records, electronic music to blow your mind by. This album is terrible or brilliant depending on your mood or the frame of mind you're in. It's a psychedelic exploitation record. Fake bands, uncredited studio musicians, cheaply produced records to cash in on the psychedelic trend of the late 60s. This album came out in 1968. And it kind of sounds like a mid-60s garage band with an organ player, and the latest psychedelic studio effects available to them at the time. There's gratuitously slathered electronic effects everywhere over the band. So again, depending on your mood, I think this is kind of a gem, and especially adding to my collection of Moog records, it fits right in, and it's an excellent cover. Look at this. I wouldn't be surprised if this winds up framed on my wall at some point. So not easy to find. You better find it online. I've never seen this in the wild. Next up, the Grateful Dead. I absolutely love the Grateful Dead, have since I was a kid. In 2017, Rhino Records released an 11 CD box called Get Shown the Light. It was 4 concerts from May of 1977. These 4 dates are considered the strongest 4-night run of all the recorded shows. There was, well, let me see here. This is Boston, May 7th. I just got this, found it online for a reasonable price. I've had Buffalo for several years now. Beautiful box sets, right? Just incredible. Each one is a 5 LP set, the complete concert of that date. I think my wife's getting me Cornell, May 8th. I have an upcoming birthday. I did mention it is one of the more pricey ones because it came out earlier and it's harder to find. And I think when people buy a 5 LP set by the Grateful Dead, they know what they're getting, so they don't turn around and sell it at a used record store a few months later. So, like I said, I've got May 9th from Buffalo. I've got May 7th from Boston. Hopefully my wife's getting me Cornell, and that just leaves Hartford, New Haven, Connecticut, May 5th. And that is their 4-night run at the beginning of May, 1977. There were bands like Television and Blondie and the Talking Heads and the Ramones that made very important records in 1977, but the Grateful Dead seemed unaware of the change in taste. And that's a great thing. By 77, they were on fire as a touring band. Just sounded fantastic. And if you really had to pick, and a lot has been analyzed online about the Grateful Dead live because they were a live band more so than a studio album band. The studio album sold here and there, and they sold fine. American Beauty, everybody has that. Working Man Dead. But in general, their concerts were the main draw. And you could see, because night after night, there's not a lot of overlap in the songs here from one night to the next. It's almost like different concerts, and you can see why people went to see them time and time again. If you want to wade through the ridiculous amount of live Dead that's out there, and I do think it's ridiculous because there's so much music out there, to devote your entire life to hearing one band, I think is a little crazy, even though they're a great band. So again, there's just a ridiculous amount of live stuff out there. If you want to hone it in, 1977 is really, I think, their sweet spot and when they were sounding the best. Not to say that anything from 76 is trash. There's some great releases floating around from then. From 1980, there was the double live acoustic Reckoning and the double live electric Dead set. Great stuff too, but 1977 is my personal pick. If you want to wade through all the stuff, just look for 77. Next up, I don't know what happened here. It looked like a good idea at the time. Pure 11 obscure funk instrumentals. Well, obscure is one of those record collector buzzwords, you know, like rare or psychedelic, psych. You know, and it caught me in, and I do have an instrumental section here. I love funk instrumentals and R&B instrumentals, and I think they're fun. There's only like 2 instrumentals on this record, maybe. The minute I dropped the needle on side 1, it's all vocal cuts. I don't know how this happened. It says 11 obscure funk instrumentals, and most of it's vocal. I was so disgusted, I had to just shelve it and pull it out a couple weeks later. It's actually not bad. I mean, there's some cool funk stuff on here. Black Sugar, the Brazilian funk rock group, I think 71. Nico Gomez, a Belgian guy who blends Latin and Afro-Caribbean sound. There's a couple of Nico Gomez. So I'm sort of familiar with some of the people on this. It's a good funk collection. Horrible packaging. What's up with the Pac-Man monsters here? And how could you say it's instrumental when it's not? Oh, well, you know, life goes on. Christy Doran is a really exciting guitar player. He's been around forever, since the early 70s. And this album, Red Twist and Tuned Arrow, came out in 1987 on ECM Records. And he's an experimental jazz guitarist who blends rock, free jazz, lots of distortion and effects. And I think it would have made a great addition to Bowie, David Bowie's later albums, which he had David Torn, if anybody's familiar with David Torn, another ECM artist, an experimental guitar player. I'd fit right in with Reeves Gabriels, who was Bowie's guitar player in a lot of later years. So if you don't know Christy Doran, he's worth checking out. This is the more challenging end of ECM. It's not the mellow cerebral stuff. It's definitely out there. Recommended for fans of later day King Crimson. I'm not saying it sounds like King Crimson, but there's enough overlap to me that if you like some of the later King Crimson stuff, you're going to really dig this. And this is innovative jazz rock. It's not going to be easy to find Christy Doran in the States. He's really not well known here. He was an Irish guy who went to live in, I forget where. It almost doesn't matter. But most of your Christy Doran, if you go to Discogs, is going to be available in Europe and things like that. And because of recent tariffs, I've noticed a lot more merchants in Europe and elsewhere are not shipping to the United States, which I'm assuming will clear up at some point. But I swear I woke up one day and I had 2 cancellations of European transactions, and they returned my money. And I was actually talking to one guy, messaging him, and he's like, "Yeah, with the uncertainty of the tariffs, we're not going to be shipping for a while." So one guy was nice enough. He had a friend going to California. He's giving him the record, who's going to ship it to me from California. What a great vinyl community. Anyway, that's it. Thanks.